Hi guys!
It's the picture.
Oh, it's a picture.
Are you working?
Hi guys, we're here from Success 4 and we are doing our weekly Friday update. We're also recording this in 4K as well, so we can do a bit of a video update as well. I'm here with Josh and Rich.
Hello.
How are we guys? What's happening?
Been a really good week, isn't it? Have we all recovered from the 5K and the Minecraft now? Are we feeling alright?
Yeah, we're all back to normal, I think.
Yeah.
Back to normal.
Yeah.
Back to normal apart from it created quite a bit of work for us. So we've got, in a way of good work.
Yeah.
We've connected with some really strong people out of it. So we've got quite a few good things coming up off the back of it all. So yeah, that's amazing. So that's nice to have going on. And you've got a bit of video work coming up?
Lots of video work coming in. Yeah, we've got lots of content to put out there. We put a couple of bits out. Jermaine's videos has gone out. Half of his interview has gone out. We've got loads more of that to put out. Loads more of bits.
There's loads to go out.
So
there's another interview with Complete and things as well. Yeah. So that's all amazing. Josh, what have you been up to?
So this week again is just collecting articles, connecting with more and more people. As you said, we've connected with a few people off the back of the event. Which is sort of tying into the programs that we're running. So do you want to sort of share with our viewers a little bit about that? Okay,
so this week we've started with our first client on the Genesis project. This is a blueprint that we're offering. So what we're doing at the moment, we're doing Genesis meetings with people, having a good chat about everything that they need from us, and then we're sort of putting packages together to work with people who are really just looking at excelling in everything they do. So,
so who needs a Genesis meeting? What would you get from a Genesis meeting?
I'd like to say everybody, but it's anybody that would want to move forward, be it with business, maybe online business, maybe personal life, maybe just absolutely anything. Anyone that's in a position where they've got a target they want to try and hit, and they need to know the steps between here and there. It's for the people we're working with at the moment. It's an amazing opportunity for them to make that difference they've been thinking about doing for a long while. So most of the people we're talking to are people who have thought about doing it for a long while, but not actually taking that first step, and we're giving them steps that they need. So
how does it work? So run us through the process.
Okay, so what we're doing at the moment, we're doing what we've called the Genesis meeting with people.
Yep.
And it's really an opportunity for them to talk to, starting off with us three.
Yep. Because
what we've found so far is most people need a little bit of each of us to move forward, but also making use of the other coaches that are on the site. So bringing in work, and this was the whole idea of the site, the collaboration, where we can use different coaches for different parts of people's journey. And that's really what we're doing. So for the Genesis meeting, it's really just time going not too deep, but just going into what they're thinking, what their visions are, what their mission is, what their mission statement is, that sort of thing, and then from that working out the steps to move forward and putting a package together that's going to work for the client.
Yeah, so the blueprint itself is kind of as a plan of action.
Yeah, definitely.
And obviously we've got different skill sets. So we all sort of get together and we decide which person we might want to work with. Might be someone off of our coaching page, which we're going to change the name of. So we've got a different name coming up for that, which we're really excited about. So we're working on our branding as well. So that's the new package.
That's definitely the idea. The idea is so we have this Genesis meeting, find out where they are, where they want to be, and then we put a blueprint together and map out the journey.
Really good. So we've got that falling in place now. Joshua, you had an amazing weekend. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, I had a huge weekend. So I attended the Elevation Effect, which is a 3-day workshop held by Javon Langford, who's an empowerment coach and speaker from the US, and he's sort of at the moment he's working between Australia, here in London in the UK, and in LA as well. So I believe he does the workshop in Toronto as well. But essentially, it's an all men's event. Okay, so Javon sort of covers how most of the problems in the world come from men, come from men who have stuff going on that's not necessarily dealt with. So what Javon is creating is a space for men to come together, which is very I think is very sort of bold to be able to put yourself out there, and get a group of men together in a space where it's not normal, it's not sort of the norms for a group of men to be able to really sort of open up to each other and to look one another in the eye and say, I'm struggling with this, or this has really affected me from my past. So to be so what he does is incredible. It's like a military boot camp for the mind.
Right. Okay.
So over the course of 3 days, you're really starting to sort of uncover, sort of tear back the layers that we all have, and really sort of connect back to our core. We have an emotional body, we have a physical thinking body as well. So there's really sort of starting to make a connection between the two of those. So I certainly took a lot of value away from the weekend. Again, there's a lot of stuff that we touched on that I didn't realise was suppressed, but to be able to get it out, to be able to let go, was and is having a huge impact on me already.
Great. And that leads perfectly onto our next subject, letting go. You wanted to
yeah, so I had a good coaching session with a client this week, and one of the big things that come out of it, and it's sort of reinforced by other things that I see going on, especially like on social media and things like that, is people having the ability to let go of things. So in this instance, this was a person who generally just dragged everything through the day with him. So it was what happened was his bus drove straight past the bus stop in the morning.
Okay. Yeah.
Which there was a single decker instead of the normal double decker, and it was full up, so it didn't stop.
Yeah.
And for him, that was a massive thing. He posted about it on Facebook. He told everybody about it all day. And by the end of the day, I think most people around him were just physically, mentally tired of hearing about it.
Okay.
But so they all started being a bit negative as well.
Yeah.
And everybody around it, and it was just this thing about just taking it through the day. And one of the powerful things that you can do is being able to just, and it's not looking on the bright side. It's not that or be positive about it. It's just not being negative about it.
Yeah.
It's just finding. So the way I would look at something like that is to sit there and sort of think, right, we can get angry about it. We can tell everybody how angry we are about it. None of those steps sort of achieve anything.
Yep.
What's that going to achieve? How's that going to serve a purpose of getting angry about it? The answer is there's another bus in 15 minutes, and I'll be 10 minutes late for work.
Sure.
Luckily enough, he's got a boss who's not going to go and sack him for it or anything like that. It's just one of those things that happens. So what is the real problem?
The best thing is when you get people who forget why they're holding a grudge.
I don't even know what I fell out of him over, but I did.
It was bad.
He's awful. Yeah.
I think one of the biggest things with letting go as well is ego.
Oh,
so, like whether whether we care to admit it or not, everybody has an ego. Everyone has this thing that's just stopping them from going to the next level. So with speaking, for instance. So my ego is telling me, Josh, you're not good enough to speak. Josh, you haven't got anything worthwhile to say, and it's just shouting all of these things at me. Yet I had to be prepared to let go of my ego in order to be able to do the things that I'm doing now. So it's not always easy letting go. Half the time you don't realise that there's stuff that you can and have to let go of if you want to move forward. But it's essentially you can't take off if you're still holding onto the ground. Like if you're still holding onto the ground, if that makes sense. So you really have to be prepared to let go. So ego is probably one of the biggest things to let go of. And when you do let go of it, that's when you can create space. That's when you can allow more to come in because you've let go of what was holding you back.
Is it having a certain amount of ego is healthy? In my opinion,
of course,
a certain level
of
it's been branded a bad word. Of course, we all have an ego. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. But is there a level? Is there balance? That's what I think.
Of course, there's a balance, and it's having an ego about the the right things, you know.
Because I spent a lot of time saying yes when I wanted to say no, people pleasing. I think do you think that's the opposite of having too much, or?
I think it's a different thing.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think ego is. See, I used to be a little bit like that. You know, if somebody owed me a fiver, I'd spend 50 grand getting it back. Yeah. Just because I just had this thing where it's like they're not getting away with it. No way am I going to let them get away with that. You know. Sure. Whereas, you know, just learning to just walk away from it, I probably lost more than a fiver in the hour I was worried about it. So,
yeah,
I mean,
just moving on and forgetting about that just makes you, and having that ego where you've got to win all the time. And there's so many different types of ego.
Yeah.
It's
It's being able to being able to identify what is part of your ego. So even things like giving, even things like being a people pleaser, that's part of your ego, and. You know, it's not necessarily saying that it's a bad thing, but it's part of your ego. It's part of who essentially part of who you are.
But I think there's a difference
in order to be able to receive more, then you have to sort of say to your ego, right, okay, I am this people pleaser, but at the same time, you know, how is it serving me in this situation? So I'm going to need to pull the reins back a bit on that. Really, let my ego's telling me that I need to be this person. So it's being able to let part of that go in order to receive more as well.
A good example of that type of ego is with Just Giving.
Yeah.
So there's a Just Giving page where, so if you were, so they say from the stats basically, if you weren't able to leave a comment or it didn't go in your name.
Oh, okay.
The actual amount of money pledged would be about 85% less.
Really?
Because they said most people who pledge on these pages are doing it for the ego. They want their name up there with a little comment.
Yeah. Can you share it? You can share.
Yeah, you can share it, and you can do all that sort of stuff. And it's but without that, the page wouldn't work.
What other things would make you sort of, other than ego, Josh? Is there anything else that you think that would keep you there or keep you holding on to that?
Yeah, absolutely. Fear.
Fear.
Yeah. So, fear of what you're letting go of, and fear of the unknown as well. So you get to a point where you realise, okay, if I do let go of this, then who am I as a person? So a big thing in the personal development world is your story. Okay, so where you've come from, what troubles you've gone through. But if you're not prepared to let go of it to a certain extent, you can't move forward. So if you're if you're constantly held up in one place on your story, that's where you stay. But then as you move beyond it, as you move beyond your story, you don't know what's coming, because that doesn't run your life anymore. So as I said, it's fear of losing that security of knowing this has run my life, this is why I am where I am.
Sense of
but
self.
When you move forward, you realise that you have to move past this. So you get to this point where you're not attached to it anymore. So you need to have, this is where obviously having a vision, having something to pull you on the other side is very important. So again, this is something that Javon was covering over the weekend as well, and it makes a lot of sense. So it's one thing to have something that drives you to move forward, but then once you get to a certain point and you let go of any pain, any drama that you were holding on to, this is why we say it's important. It's crucial, really. If you need to have that end goal, to have something else to work towards, because as you go through life, as you grow through life, you have to let go. That's part of your new identity. You let go of who you are. So I'm not Josh the people pleaser anymore. I'm not Josh the one who does everything and anything for his friends. Does that make me any less of a person? No, but I've had to let go of certain aspects of my old character to be able to move forward and do what I'm doing now.
And it's not the fact that a lot of these things, I don't think people say, getting over it and stuff like that. I don't think you ever do. I think it's just when you get yourself in a position where you can talk about these things, the reason you're talking about them changes. You're not talking about them because you want everybody to know what you've been through. You're talking about them because you want to help other people move forward from where they are.
But a valid point is you would have to have moved past that to be able to help them.
So if someone's standing up there telling their story and it's something you've been through, it's not a case of they think they're any better, or they've got over it, or they've, you know, all of this sort of stuff. I don't think that exists. I just think they're in a different place. They're in a different place. They've maybe told that story. Well, a good example, I mean, I remember the first time we were in America and I told my story, and I remember Josh telling his, and I remember several people over time who I've seen tell their story for the first time. It's really hard to do, but because at that point I was telling my story. Yeah. Since then, when I go out and I now talk to people, I'm talking to people from a completely different point of view. It's not about me anymore, you know. And I think that's the hard thing when you first start out, is you sort of see it about you, but turning it around to it being more about them, then changes the whole reason, changes the feeling of the story. And sometimes some people take that to the next whole level, where they tell their story but there's no passion or heart in it because they've told it so many times, or they've
the add-ons.
And that's maybe where they maybe where that comes across like they think they're better than everybody else. But I don't know of many coaches or speakers who tell their story for any reason other than wanting to help other people.
And if you enjoyed these videos and this podcast, we're at Successful Global on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook, so please do follow us, come along for the journey.
Like and share,
anything?
All of that.
Stole my line.
No,
I was just going to say, like, share, subscribe. As the guys were saying though, in terms of our podcast, Successful is a platform where we share value, knowledge, skills on how people can redesign their life. So everybody's got a story. If you've got, if you're an entrepreneur, business owner, or if you've achieved something in life in the health and wellness industry, and you've got some incredible value that you can share with people who are looking to make changes in their life, we want to get inside your brain and sort of pick it apart and put it back together for our audience. So yeah, it'd be great to connect with more and more people. As Rich said, like, subscribe, share. All social media platforms we're on. So yeah, we will see you next week.
And even better, it's absolutely free. Don't cost you a penny. Don't cost you a penny.
Nothing's free. Nothing's free.
Well,
most people would say nothing's free. There's a catch.
Your time, your passion,
yeah,
and your want to do it.
That's it.
Other than that, monetary free,
priceless,
absolutely priceless. See you later, guys. Thanks,
guys. Thanks a lot.
Priceless.
Priceless.